All right, today we're going to be talking about how to make an avoidant ex miss you. Now, avoidant exes we find tend to be the most common type of ex that most of our clients are trying to get back. And if you want kind of a history lesson with regards to ex-boyfriend recovery, it's probably a good idea to read some of our articles on attachment styles, because we talk a lot about the 4 main types of attachment styles there are. And we find that most of our clients are anxious and most of their exes are avoidants. And there's this odd relationship between the two where they're almost naturally drawn together and almost naturally will break up. So what we're going to do today is not only teach you how to make an avoidant ex miss you using real life psychology, but we're also going to help you empathize with what an avoidant goes through, because the way they look at the world is going to be completely different than the way you look at the world. So let's first start by looking at what an avoidant attachment style is and looks like. Hey there, real quick, I want to say that if you're new to this YouTube channel or you're trying to figure out what you should be doing to get your ex back and you're trying to learn if you even have a chance in your specific circumstance, probably the smartest thing for you to do is actually stop by our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, or take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz that can be found at exboyfriendrecovery.com. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, taking that free quiz is super easy to do. All you have to simply do is look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on the link you see there. It will take you directly to the quiz where you can fill it out and get an easy answer on what you should be doing going forward and overall what your chances look like in your specific situation. All right, so let's get you back to the video. All right, so the big calling card here is a lack of intimacy. They'll either avoid it altogether or they'll keep their partners at a distance. Now, a lot of people mistakenly believe that someone with an avoidant attachment will avoid relationships altogether, but that's simply not true. They do form relationships, but they simply find ways of staying distant within the confines of the relationship. You see this a lot when it comes to expressing emotions or dealing with conflict. They'll withdraw or simply avoid it. I'd even go as far as saying that they have a pretty big mistrust in depending on others in relationships. The avoidant type would often perceive themselves as lone wolves. They're strong, independent, and self-sufficient, not necessarily in terms of physical contact, but rather on an emotional level. Underlying everything with an avoidant attachment style is a deep fear of getting too close. So I think the big mistake a lot of people make when it comes to avoidant attachment styles, specifically trying to make an avoidant miss you, is they fail to empathize with their worldview. Now, we've kind of done that a little bit already by simply explaining what an avoidant attachment is and how they kind of view life, but what I would like to do is dig a little deeper so that you can truly understand how their perception of your relationship or your time together is probably different from your perception of your time together. And then from there, once we have empathized, a lot of the suggestions I'm going to make about, hey, this is probably the best way to make someone miss you, will make a lot more sense. Because I think a lot of times people think, all right, so how do you make a man miss you? How do you make an avoidant man miss you? And immediately they jump on the bandwagon of the generic advice. Play hard to get, do this, do that, do that. Well, some of that advice is working, but a lot of it isn't working because it's not geared specifically toward avoidance. So before I give you the goods, I think it's important for us to understand how avoidants operate. All right, so avoidance, they want connection like everyone else, but their deepest fear is that love and closeness come at the cost of personal freedom. They'll worry that the other person is investing in the relationship more than they are and begin to feel engulfed. While they want a relationship because it's hard to express their needs, they fear being controlled or told who they should be and fear disappointment and instability. Inherently, if someone likes them and starts to lean on them, they don't believe they will be able to live up to their partner's needs or expectations. As a result, relationships quickly become obligating, guilt-ridden, and burdensome. For a while, they may pretend to be in the relationship while secretly hoping that their partner will leave them. One quick note on that last thing. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone where you have or you feel like you have a really good understanding of what the person's emotional state is without them saying a word? It's almost like they just have this aura surrounding to them, or you pick up whatever body language cues that they have and you're like, hey, something is wrong. So you walk up to that person and you say, hey, what's going on? Talk to me. And they say, oh, nothing much, everything's fine, but you can tell they're not telling you the truth. So you push further and further, and then they snap at you. What is your problem? There's nothing wrong with me. Why won't you ever leave me alone? Classic example of an avoidant. What works to make an avoidant miss you? I had to think really hard about this, and I'm really proud of the answers that I came up with because they are extremely unique. I've never seen anyone offer this type of advice ever before in the breakup industry, specifically for avoidance, because it requires you to kind of change your paradigm. And the reason I made such a big deal about explaining what an avoidant attachment style was and helping you empathize or see how they look at relationships in their point of view is because a lot of the suggestions I'm going to make to help you make them miss you or long for you requires you to have some understanding of their state of mind. So in all, there are 4 main components or things that I would like to talk to you about today to help make your ex miss you. Component number 1, avoidants are free to long for an ex once that person is unavailable out of the relationship. This is super important. One of the reasons that a lot of our clients fail in getting their exes back is because they're too anxious. We know that a lot from studying attachment styles. A lot of the people coming to ex-boyfriend recovery or ex-girlfriend recovery have anxious attachment styles. They want to fix the relationship as soon as possible. With an avoidant, they're not going to miss you until they truly believe you've let go and you've moved on and you're unavailable. And then they feel like, wow, now it's okay for me to long. Now it's okay for me to miss my ex. And this is an important thing because it really helps them feel non-pressure with regards to the missing. Because if they feel like they're missing you when you are available, you'll get back together. And they don't want that. So it's an important distinction to make. Component number 2. Low-level interactions have the potential to bring up uncomfortable emotions or guilt. All right, so here's what you need to know. With every interaction, a low-level disruption to the avoidant auto-regulatory system with the potential to bring up uncomfortable emotions or guilt, the less engaged in contact someone is, the more miserable they may in fact be. Conversely, keeping in contact may keep the idea that the ex is on the back burner and the avoidant can continue to deny the loss of an attachment figure. So let's say you decide you want to reach out to your ex and you decide you come to ex-boyfriend recovery, you look at all of our stuff, you take the free quiz, you say, hey, I might have a chance of getting my ex back. And you read the first thing we tell you to do, which is a no contact rule, which is put in place for this very reason. But you decide, I don't need that. That's for sissies. That's for pansies. I'm gonna do things my way. So you blow your ex's phone up with 70 different text messages and 15 different voicemails, and you get blocked. Why? Well, your ex may be an avoidant, but even if you aren't interacting with your ex an excessive amount, it is going to indicate to them that it's not okay for me to miss them yet. So giving them space, giving them time is an extremely important thing to do if you want to make them miss you. Component number 3, without the danger of reciprocal feelings, they are free to miss you. So it's only really after they think you have moved on, that you're over them, they begin to feel like this liberation from the fear of engulfment. And it finally gives them free rein to have their latent romanticism with regards to your relationship. So an ex being truly unavailable may even produce a perverse enjoyment. They are at a liberty to fully miss and think wistfully of their ex while it confirms their self-belief that people won't stick around them. In other words, it's their safe space. They've always gone through life believing, hey, if I'm in a relationship, it's gonna feel great for a while, but then they're gonna leave. And when that self-fulfilling prophecy occurs, even if it's their fault, it kind of gives them enough free reign to feel like, okay, now I can look back fondly on that relationship. Now I can miss them. So a lot of making avoidance miss you revolves around timing things correctly. And finally, component number 4. Usually they'll only truly miss you after they fail to find a bond with new prospects. Okay, so you guys broke up. They probably broke up with you, or you probably broke up with them. It doesn't really matter. You want to make your avoidant ex miss you. You've decided or diagnosed your ex as an avoidant. You're thinking, okay, what do I have to do, Chris? Nothing. Okay, I can do nothing. How long do I do nothing for, Chris? Well, you're going to do nothing for a while. You know, maybe when they finally decide to reach out to you, once they feel free, they'll feel okay. But really, if you're looking for an indication of how long you do nothing and how long you start working on getting over an ex, it's a good indicator to look and see if they've gone dating. So if they're dating people you see on social media, it's actually a good thing for avoidance because number 1, they're probably still hung up on you. And number 2, once that person doesn't live up to the expectations that you've created with your great relationship, they begin to start looking back on you in an interesting way. They feel like, okay, now I can start to miss my ex. Now, what we do know about attachment styles and what we're seeing work in regards to getting exes back, it really revolves around you being as secure as possible after the breakup. And not a lot of people understand this distinction. And I've been writing this gigantic article lately about how to get an ex back, just like the general redo of our strategy, updating it for 2021. And what's really interesting about this concept is I've been looking at what state of mind someone needs to be in before they begin contacting their ex. And we find that if you're in a state of mind where you're still wanting that ex back more than anything, you have not confronted the reality that you may not get them back and you're not okay with it if you don't get them back, you're usually going to fail. You literally need to get to the state of mind where you use the no contact rule, this time where you're spending all this time on yourself to rebuild whatever self-worth or confidence that you have to feel like, you know what, if I don't get them back, that's okay. I'll be okay. It'll hurt, but I'll be fine. Once you have that mindset, you are ready to talk to your ex. If you don't have that mindset, you're probably not going to do very well when you do talk to your ex. And this is important for avoidance because a lot of that, all right, I'm going to be okay. I've moved on. I've let go is key to making them miss you. Hey there, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you stop everything you're doing and take that Ex Recovery Chances quiz that I talked about at the beginning of this video. Taking the quiz is super simple. Just look in the description below and click the link you see there. Also, if you haven't liked, commented, or subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so.